There are cars, and then there are statements. Rolling, gleaming, unhurried statements of taste, prosperity, and the kind of confidence that doesn't need to raise its voice. The 1966 Lincoln Continental Convertible is exactly that. A four-door, open-air declaration that you have arrived, and you'd like everyone to notice at their own leisure. In a decade of extraordinary American automotive design, this car stood apart, and it still does. Let's talk about what makes this car one of the most singular automobiles ever produced on American soil. Origins of an icon. To understand the 1966 Continental, you have to understand the lineage that produced it. Lincoln introduced its radically redesigned Continental for the 1961 model year, a clean, slab-sided masterpiece penned under the direction of designer Elwood Engel. Gone was the chrome excess and fin-heavy drama of the late 1950s. In its place came something almost European in its restraint. Long, low, squared-off lines with suicide rear doors and a purposeful simplicity that made Cadillac look fussy by comparison. The automotive world noticed immediately. Cadillac's designers reportedly took the Continental's clean flanks as a direct challenge, and you can see the influence rippling through Cadillac's own design evolution in the 1963 and 1964 model years, with fins shrinking and sides clearing out. The 1961 Continental had quietly reset the standards for American luxury. It was the kind of design move that doesn't announce itself loudly. It simply raises the bar and waits for everyone else to catch up. The Continental's interior matched its exterior restraint with genuine quality. Heavy cast chrome hardware, substantial upholstery materials. The kind of craftsmanship that communicated not merely expense, but permanence, the sense that this car was built to last, and built to be appreciated on every drive rather than just the first one. And the four-door convertible, one of the most extravagant body styles ever offered by a mainstream automaker, was there from the very beginning, available alongside the four-door hardtop sedan from the car's reintroduction. These weren't two-door roadsters for weekend thrill-seekers. These were proper, full-size luxury automobiles with four doors and a roof that folded away, inviting the world in. What changed for 1966? By 1964, Lincoln had already stretched the Continental's wheelbase by 3 inches, bringing it to 126 inches and adding meaningful rear legroom. Because what good is a luxury car if you can't share it comfortably? For 1966, the changes were more than cosmetic. The sheet metal was fully restyled, and this is where the 1966 stands as something of a generational divide within the model's run. The car grew in every direction that mattered. Overall length stretched roughly 4.5 inches, from 216.3 inches to 220.9 inches. Width expanded from 78.6 to 79.7 inches. The result was a more sculpted, more imposing presence. A full-length beltline character line now ran from the front fenders all the way to the rear, just below the greenhouse, giving the car a horizontal tension that made it look even longer and leaner than its already considerable dimensions suggested. The tail lamps moved into the rear bumper, a styling choice that was very much of its era and has since faded gracefully from fashion. Though on the 1966 Continental, it doesn't detract from the car's overall elegance. It reads, rather, as a period detail, the automotive equivalent of a wide lapel on a well-cut suit. The engine grew, too. The previous 430 cubic inch V8 was bored and stroked out to 462 cubic inches, picking up 20 horsepower in the process for a total of 340. In a car that weighed approximately 5,500 pounds, the convertible specifically, since it carried all the structural reinforcement that the removal of a fixed roof demands, you needed every one of those horses. For reference, That starting weight of the '66 convertible was only about 8% lighter than a modern 2026 Lincoln Navigator, a far larger and considerably more practical vehicle. The four-door hardtop sedan weighed 400 pounds less, and the two-door hardtop coupe was 500 pounds lighter still. The convertible paid a toll for its drama, and it paid in steel. The case for four doors. Here is where the 1966 Lincoln Continental Convertible distinguishes itself from virtually every other open-air automobile ever built. It has four doors. This sounds simple. It is not. A convertible, by its nature, is an indulgence. Wind in your hair, sky above your head, the world allowed in. But the classic convertible has always carried with it a certain selfishness of form. Two doors, a cramped rear seat. The back passengers exist largely as afterthoughts, wedged in behind tilting front seats, making do. The Continental said no to all of that. Rear seat passengers on a '66 Continental had their own suicide-hinged doors, opening toward the rear in the dramatic fashion the Continental had made its signature. They had legroom befitting the car's extended wheelbase. They had space. They had dignity. You could take your family, your business partner, your grandmother out for a Sunday drive in this car, and everyone would arrive refreshed rather than apologetic. It democratized the convertible experience, at least among those who could afford a Lincoln. This was a car for sharing, for showing, for the particular pleasure of a long afternoon drive with the roof folded away and nowhere especially urgent to be. Picture. The likely original owner of one of these cars, a prosperous businessman in his 50s, his children grown, his mortgage diminishing, his reputation established. His wife beside him in the front seat, a Sunday afternoon stretching out ahead of them. No agenda in particular, just the pleasure of motion and the mild vanity of being seen in something beautiful. The 1966 Continental Convertible was precisely that car. Not a sports car, not a track weapon, not a machine defined by speed or athleticism. It was theater. It was civic luxury. It was the automotive equivalent of a front porch, except that the porch moved at highway speeds. With 462 cubic inches purring beneath its long hood, and there is nothing wrong with that. If you have the means to move through the world in something this beautiful, this deliberately crafted, this unambiguous in its intentions, why wouldn't you? The Continental didn't hide its ambitions. It wore them openly, in midnight black or presidential white, with its chrome catching sunlight and its four doors swinging wide like the arms of a generous host. Presidential and historical weight. The Continental Convertible carried with it an enormous, and sometimes somber, historical weight. The 1961 model, modified with an extra pair of jump seats by coach builder Hess and Eisenhart, was the presidential limousine carrying President John F. Kennedy in Dallas on November 22, 1963. That association gave the Continental a gravity beyond its design, connecting it permanently to one of the defining moments of American history. But the Continental's political life didn't end in tragedy. President Lyndon B. Johnson was deeply fond of his Lincolns, and he was notorious for putting them to vigorous personal use at his Texas ranch. Guests, journalists, and world leaders alike found themselves in the passenger seats of LBJ's Continental Convertibles, hurtling across the ranch at speeds that reportedly unnerved even the Secret Service. Johnson apparently had a system for keeping his scotch topped up during these drives, a Secret Service agent trotting alongside to take his foam cup and return it freshly filled. The whole operation conducted at a rolling pace across the Texas landscape. It is difficult to imagine this happening in any other car. It is somehow completely believable in a Lincoln Continental. Sales and the end of an era. The convertible Continental was never a volume seller, and Lincoln never expected it to be. From its introduction for 1961 through 1965, The four-door convertible averaged approximately 3,200 units sold annually. For 1961, in its debut year, the convertible accounted for about 11% of total Continental sales, nearly 2,900 units out of a total of roughly 25,200. By 1966, total Continental sales had grown dramatically, largely thanks to the addition of a new two-door hardtop coupe that sold close to 15,800 units and a price reduction of about $600, equivalent to approximately $6,000 today, that made the lineup more accessible. About 3,200 convertibles found buyers again in 1966, but 1967 would be the last year, and curiously, only about 2,300 buyers chose the drop top that final year, despite the impending end of production. The buying public seemed oddly unmoved by the fact that one of the most distinctive body styles in the American automotive landscape was about to disappear forever. And then it did. It is worth sitting with that for a moment. The factory-produced four-door convertible, one of only a handful to exist in the post-World War II American market, quietly left the stage after 1967. The Kaiser-built Fraser Manhattan had offered a four-door convertible in the early post-war years. A handful of European manufacturers had done the same at low volume. But in terms of mainstream American luxury production, this was it, and then it was gone. Modern luxury cars communicate differently. They whisper about horsepower figures and infotainment screens and driver assistance systems. They are remarkable machines by almost any objective standard, but they do not stop traffic. They do not make strangers slow their pace on a sidewalk and turn to watch. They do not conjure the feeling of a dignitary passing through. The 1966 Continental Convertible does all of those things effortlessly, simply by existing and moving.